You understand that first of all, I will regret saying this, and that this is a public company, you crazy guy. Look at this, this is how. How great is privacy? It's safe to say, a lot more. Let's think it through, shall we? Alright, let's rationalize this. Let's navigate this with reason. To begin with, the world has installed data centers valued at approximately $1 trillion. There is general-purpose computing in these data centers. CPUs are used for general-purpose computing. However, we cannot handle data in this manner going forward. Everything in the world is going to speed up, including data processing. Everything will accelerate as a result of our efforts, turning every computer and data center into an accelerated server. There are currently computers valued at almost $1 trillion, and even in the unlikely event that we do not grow over the next 4, 5, or 6 years, choose your number, we will need to replace those machines with accelerated computing, namely GPUs. However, if the computer industry grows at its current rate about 20%, we may need to replace computers worth $2 trillion in the coming years, so try to visualize that. Let me now explain why this is important. You guys at Stripe are onto something really big. It's comparable to the Industrial Revolution. We are creating tokens at scale for the first time, something that has never been done before, and we are making them in astronomically large quantities. In essence, these tokens are floating point numbers, and they have value for the first time in history. Why? Due to the fact that they stand for artificial intelligence. You can translate these statistics into any language you like, including English, French, proteins, chemicals, graphics, photos, films, robotic articulation, and steering wheel motions. Right now, we are creating these tokens on an unprecedented scale. We can now create nearly any type of token thanks to AI. Furthermore, in novel kinds of data centers that we refer to as AI factories, these tokens will be created. During the previous Industrial Revolution, power was produced by turning water into steam using a mechanism. These days, floating point numbers come out and electrons go in. And just as the value of these floating point tokens could seem ethereal, just as it did then, when electricity was new and confusing. However, just like we do with energy today, it will be perfectly natural to transact in these tokens in 10 years. These tokens will facilitate the development of new goods and services, and raise productivity levels in all sectors. We are discussing sectors of the economy valued at hundreds of trillions of dollars. Because we need a mechanism to transact and monetize these tokens, Stripe will play a crucial part in this. I'm really thrilled about what you're doing here because of this. Patrick from Stripe had to explain the company to me when I first met him, and to be honest, it was tough. However, what you've created is amazing. Now that you have usage-based billing, are we going to move you over to Stripe billing? Really, I wish I owned a company that required billing. However, I probably do a lot of billing anyhow because my company is public. Let's return to these token factories now. Currently, the main concern is whether or not AI models will eventually saturate. When you saw the Sigma Assistant being demonstrated on stage earlier, for instance, and how it translated plain language into SQL, you could ask yourself, is there really that much of a difference between a 7 billion parameter model and a 70 billion parameter model? Does this mean a larger model is required? When do we get to the good enough point? Trillion parameter models might not be necessary for a lot of use cases, right? Let's analyze it rationally. Consider the computer vision and image recognition system, AlexNet, from 2012. The accuracy was about 82% at first. That precision halved errors every year for nearly 10 years, essentially adhering to Moore's law. Image recognition these days is superhuman. The same was true for natural language processing and speech recognition. Accuracy is important because people want to believe the answers that these models produce. This annual doubling in accuracy, in my opinion, will continue until the answers are so trustworthy that we can put all of our faith in them. The language models of today, however, are still one-shot. They only provide you with one response. However, a lot of life's chores need strategy, research, and iteration. AI must be able to do more than just respond to a single question. It must also be able to formulate plans, access confidential information, and even request human involvement before acting. Future AI Mo. In conclusion, AI and these token factories have a bright future, An industrial revolution driven by floating point tokens and artificial intelligence is about to occur. Stripe, you're leading the way in enabling this significant shift in the way we produce and exchange value. Okay, let's go on. Therefore, as I mentioned earlier, Stripe's position is critical because every industry, from manufacturing to healthcare to finance, will be influenced by this new AI-driven world. These floating point numbers, or tokens created by AI, will fuel innovations, services, and goods that we haven't even begun to think of yet. And Stripe will be essential for enabling the exchange of this new sort of value because of its capacity to manage these transactions at scale. Returning to the original topic of whether these models would eventually reach a saturation point, it's critical to understand that, even while trillion-parameter models may not be necessary for some tasks, the range of problems that AI is capable of solving is always changing. As of right now, you could be able to get good enough performance with a model that has 100 billion parameters or fewer for simpler jobs, such as converting natural language to SQL. But larger models or even whole other architectures might be required for some activities, particularly those that call for more creative thinking, deeper reasoning, or multi-step planning. This is where the idea of planning models is useful. You will have a system where models may communicate with one another, leveraging their specific skills to tackle more difficult tasks, rather than a single AI model trying to do everything at once. Some may deal with language, some with visual data, others with databases or confidential information, and yet others may even communicate with people to obtain further context or confirmation. The concept of an AI model network cooperating through iteration has the potential to open up completely new possibilities. AI will plan, modify, and alter its responses based on feedback, exactly like a human would when tackling a challenging challenge. It won't merely provide you with a response. Artificial intelligence, AI, is poised to transform our understanding of labor, productivity, and even creativity. Additionally, industries will be recreated as a result of AI factories creating these tokens, or this new kind of value. Consider artificial intelligence, AI, in drug discovery, where we can simulate and design molecules and proteins at previously unheard-of speeds and accuracy. Consider AI's ability to create whole musical compositions, movies, or artwork in the creative industries. All of this will be powered by the tokens that these AI models produce. Now keep in mind that similar to the last industrial revolution, when electricity and steam revolutionized everything, at the time we were oblivious to the full extent of its impact. With AI and these tokens, it's the same thing now. People may find it difficult to understand the scope of this change, but in 10 years it will be abundantly clear. To recap for all of you at Stripe, you are perched atop an enormous object. These tokens will need to be transacted globally in order to be exchanged for products and services. Therefore, you'll need a platform that can effectively manage that scale. And for that reason, Stripe is crucial to this change. You are now much more than just a payments provider. You are a vital component of the system that will drive technological advancement for the ensuing century. I'm really thrilled about the direction that this is all headed, and I'm confident that platforms like yours will be the foundation for future sectors like token manufacturing, artificial intelligence, and others. Thus, never give up, since the foundation you're creating will hold everything else in place. Let's return to the Plinko game now. Are you prepared?